Now, inheritance to your kids. Do you work to look after your kids throughout your whole life, or when should that stop and you start thinking about yourself?
Yeah, it's our big talking point this morning. A third of people believe they'd rather see their parents spending money during retirement than leaving them an inheritance.
Well, according to these reports, the average UK inheritance is 11 grand, OK?
Raising the question, is it really unthinkable to leave your kids with nothing?
OK. With us to debate this, we're joined by comedian Josh Howie. Good morning, Josh, and mortgage advisor and broker Sally Mitchell. So who's for leaving them nothing?
Yeah, I want everything. Oh, no, I want the other way around. I want it all. I want all £11,000.
Yeah, all 11.
I'm not going to get it.
Yeah?
But I want it.
And what's the reality, Sally, on that? What way does that shape up?
I've seen a big shift. I think the younger generation of today would rather have help earlier on in their lifetime. So perhaps a little bit of a leg up onto the property ladder, a nice gifted deposit, perhaps. It's certainly true that the much older generation, so my mother, for example, frets all the time that her elderly care costs are going to mean that anything she had to leave is going to be depleted. And she worries about it, she stresses about it. And no matter what we say, you know, we don't expect it, we don't need it, we're okay, we can stand on our own 2 feet. It really does stress her out. I'm really pleased that young people are saying now, yeah, well, not all young people, because obviously we just had the other side of the coin, but are saying, no, please enjoy your retirement. You've worked hard. You spend it on what you like, spend it on your care if you need to, but please don't fret, don't stress that you're going to leave us without.
But what about those people who save their money to pass it all on, you know, an inheritance to their children and their grandchildren, but actually once they die, and who knows what's going to happen after the budget in a few weeks, the vast majority of that goes into the Treasury and your children don't actually see it. So wouldn't it be better that your parents have a lovely time, go sailing around the world or whatever it might be, rather than handing it all to the taxman? What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it depends on... Maybe there's an intergenerational thing here, because it also depends on what I'm seeing now. A lot of baby boomers getting a lot of money from their parents who died. So if they have got a lot of money from them, then for them to spend it all seems somewhat hypocritical. But look, if people earn the money, and they should be able to, of course, do with it what they want and enjoy it how they want. Personally, for me, if there's any money left, or I want to save for my kids. I want my kids to have the best start. Maybe even it's not even about giving it to your children. Maybe it's about helping your grandchildren get on the property ladder. Maybe that's the only way that they are going to get on the property ladder.
Interesting. And how many, Josh, just let me, you mentioned children there. What would your responsibility be to do that? How many offspring do you have?
I've got 5. So
that won't leave much.
No, well, I need all the help I get. And really, I'm hoping my in-laws and anybody we're in any way related to will leave us some money. That way we might get a garden one day.
And then, Sally, from your point of view, do you have children?
Yes, I have 2.
Right. And already being a mortgage and a mortgage advisor and broker on that, you must think very sensibly. Are you already making plans for those children?
I'm very, very sensible. I'm hoping to be able to help them a little bit when the time comes, yeah. But that might be, you know, by ways of downsizing when they move, when they fly the nest, finally, and then releasing some money, again, early. I don't see the point of waiting until you're in your 60s or 70s for a parent to die and then give you money. I don't think that's where people these days need it. They need it earlier on to set themselves up.
Yes, but Sally, this is the point I was making earlier on. You need it as well, and you will need it as you get beyond 50, as your body begins to fall apart, and you need a nurse at home, and you need a care home.
For that. There are pensions. You know, we've got to think very, very logically and carefully about how we future-proof our finances. And people don't tend to. So there are an awful lot of things that you can put in place. But I fully intend to be on that cruise, to be bungee jumping off something at 65.
And this whole thing you're talking about helping early, there's long been the mantra, give away early and give away a lot. There's the 7-year rule that you know, if you give a large gift to your children or your grandchildren, then the government can't take any tax on it. But that is also possibly going to change. So nobody really knows where they stand anymore. But we were talking a little bit earlier in the programme about the Margaret Thatcher model, which was, she had 2 children, didn't she? She gave 1/3 to one child, 1/3 to the other, and the final third to her grandchildren, and that really launched them into the world. So is that something that you might consider, splitting it perhaps 6 ways, Josh? 5 bits for your kids and the final bit for the grandchildren?
Well, I like Sally's idea, and I'd like her to call up my parents after the show and say, give Josh all your money now. That's what I'm hoping.
But you see, the idea, Sally, that you have, I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but I was promised, you know, that by the time I was in my 40s or 50s or so, I would be well retired, well early, that, you know, people like me would have so much money you could retire on, you could go on those cruises and whatever. But it isn't the case, because as you get older, you find out you always need money. You always need it.
Yeah, well, this is it. I think, you know, the whole concept of retiring and older age has changed so much. You know, we don't expect to retire at, well, it used to be 65 or even 60 for women, and now it's not. And by the time it gets around to me, it will probably be 70 or 75.
Yeah.
So I fully expect to keep contributing to my own coffers and also the state coffers for a lot longer than in previous generations. But alongside that, you know, I don't want to slip into this grey permed old age. I want to still be vital. I want to still have a really full and interesting life. And I think there is that expectation now for the older generation.
Sally, what is your expectation of Rachel Reeves then in the budget? I mean, do you think whether this budget or subsequent budgets, she's going to come looking for profits on property?
I have a horrible feeling that it's on the agenda, yes, because they've been very quiet about it. I know a lot of people are starting to look at liquidating some of their portfolio assets, houses, etc. In the business I do, not personal friends, because they're worried about it. They're worried about capital gains. They're worried about inheritance. They're worried about trust structures.
Well, can you do that quickly with 2 weeks to go? Stick everything into a tax-free ISA ASAP if you haven't already maxed it out.
It's going to be tricky. Yeah, it's going to be very tricky. But people are putting stuff on the market because hopefully, I mean, it could happen overnight, but if there are any changes, they might not come in until the next tax year.
Hard luck.
That's what I'm...
Well,
can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Sorry, just one thing. I just wanted to say that if you give the money now, then you have an incentive for your children to keep you alive for another 7 years. That's all I wanted to say.
That's
true. A good incentive, good incentive. Guys, we've got to love you and leave you, Sally. And Josh, thank you both very much indeed. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Laura's got in touch. She said parents need to make their assets work for both themselves and their children. I think that's pretty much what my philosophy will be.
Yeah.
When it comes to what I leave my kids. But
we're going to leave you with Paul Coyte. He's got the sport right after this. Hope you can stay with us.